Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. In today's video we're going to take a look at and review the Nighthaunt slasher host Spearhead for Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Today's game is played on the fantastic battle mats from our longtime supporters Mithras Games. Top quality battle mats from New Zealand that have a variety of different designs that can suit almost any battlefield you could imagine. Our formation for the Nighthaunt slasher host has our general as a Knight of Shrouds. Unit-wise, we have a unit of 3 Spirit Hosts, 2 units of 5 Grimghast Reapers, and 2 units of 10 Chainrasps. Battle trait-wise, we have 2 battle traits, though we do have a few special rules that appear in the army multiple times. We'll get into those as we see them. Now, first of these, we have Wave of Terror, and this can be used during any charge phase. You get to pick a friendly unit to use this ability if that unit charged in the turn and the charge roll was a 10+. You then pick an enemy unit within 1 inch of the target, and that target has strike last this turn. It's a pretty solid ability. Now, we do have a decent amount of movement in the force, so we can get to where we need to go. We've also got fly as a rule on pretty much everything in the army, and especially everything inside the Spearhead. What we want to be doing is ensuring we get this ability. We're not the most survivable, despite the next special rule I'll talk about. We can't take positive modifiers to our saves, so some of our units are a little bit more frail or are very low on the wound count. Now, that other ability is Ethereal, and this is a passive ability, and this means we ignore all modifiers, both positive and negative, to our saves. This is not too bad on some of the things that have like 4+ saves, even 5+ saves, but we do have models that have 6+ saves and stuff like that. That's going to be a problem. You know, it is not going to be as easy keeping those models alive as long. We do have ward saves in general because we're a death army behind them. But this does help with survivability, but it's not the be-all and end-all that it might seem like. Definitely we want to be ganging up on enemy units with Wave of Terror and getting that strike last to get all our attacks in so we can't be attacked back. Regiment ability wise, we've got 2 options as always to pick from, and the first of these is Deathstalkers. This can be used at the start of the first battle round, and we add one to the Ren characteristic of melee weapons used for attacking a target enemy unit on the battlefield. This is a pretty solid ability. This allows us to pick a threat and go, we're going to remove that. We don't have an awful lot of rend in the force, so getting some extra points of rend is nice on some of our units. You know, this is just going to allow us to pick where we want to put some damage. Now, the other ability is Chorus of Terror. This is a more defensive ability and definitely sort of limit the amount of damage we can take. We subtract 1 from the hit rolls for combat attacks that target a friendly unit that charged in the same turn. Seeing as we do want to be charging at all opportunities, this is a pretty good ability, but it does mean that we don't get this benefit when the opponent charges us, so it is dangerous. However, this would still work if you charged in the same turn via a command in your opponent's turn of counter charge, so that's a cool way to get the benefit. The only downside is minuses to hit are much more easily countered with all-out attack, giving +1 to hit as the opposing thing against it. I think both of these abilities are very solid. The first of these, Deathstalkers, I would pick if your opponent's got one sort of big damage dealing piece that you really need to deal with. Otherwise, I would probably go with Chorus of Terror because you're an army that wants to be charging, so if you're on the front foot, this ability is going to most of the time be working. Next we have our enhancements, and we give one of the 4 options to our general, which is a character that's sort of geared to be more of a support piece around your force. It's definitely like a leader more than a little foot assassin or something like that. Now, the big thing here is our first one, the enhancements. We have the Soulfire Ring. This is if any models were slain by a general this turn, you heal d6. I don't think this is particularly great. Our general's not got a lot of wounds. It's not the most deadly character unless we give it the other enhancements, so you can't combine the 2 enhancements, so I don't think at any point this would be something you look to take. Now, Cloaked in Shadow is the second one. No more than 1 enemy unit can target your general with attack, shooting, or combat per phase. I think for me, this is probably the one I go with. this might not sound that great, but like limiting your opponent's attacks means they can't split off attacks to get rid of your hero. They're going to have to focus on it, and that means they're not focusing on a unit, which is probably more of a threat to your opponent. I think, especially with shooting, this is going to be something that keeps the model alive. Your opponents aren't going to have to direct whole shooting towards it and not touch your other units, which is still good for you. I do like this one. I think it's probably my go-to. Beacon of Nagashizar is a once per battle hero face ability and return one slain model to each friendly unit. I don't think particularly much of this. Yes, we have some models in some of our units that could definitely use some recursion because we are very light and our more elite heavier hitters, but we're not getting a lot of it. We're probably getting 2 models that we actually care about back. Now, Shadow's Edge is the other one, and this can give our General Sword of Stolen Hours the crit mortal ability. It already has crit auto wounds, and you know, he's not going to be putting through that much damage anyway. I think it's not worth it. If you could take this alongside the Soulfire Ring, I think that would be an interesting little combo, but for me, it is Cloaked in Shadow, that extra defensive buff to keep him alive and keep him buffing up the force. Now, onto our first unit, and speaking of our general, we have the Knight of Shrouds. This model has 5 health, 8-inch move, 4+ save, control score of 2. It's obviously got that ward 6+ because it's a death model, and it's got the fly keyword as well, meaning it can ignore all vertical distance when moving, so long as it doesn't land on any impassable or any of the unstable terrain. Now, the Sword of Stolen Hours is 5 attacks, 4 to hit, 3 to wound, rend 1, damage 2 with a crit auto wound ability, as we mentioned. That's not too shabby, and you know, it could combine nicely with Soulfire Ring, but the fact we've only got 5 health, we're not going to be wanting to get into any deadly fights, because this model's hero phase ability, Discorporate, is really good. So this can pick a friendly unit, hold within 9 inch of it, and until the start of your next turn, the target will gain a 5-up ward. This will improve, obviously, their 6-up ward. Really solid ability to keep your units in the fight longer. I think this is just such an important ability that we don't risk the Knight of Shrouds in anything too deadly, hence why we protect it with Cloak of Shadows as our enhancement. Our second unit of Nighthaunt are the Spirit Hosts. They have 3 health each and 8-inch move, 4+ save, control score of 1 with ward 6+ fly in their keywords, and they're an infantry unit as well. The Spectral Claws and Dangers have 6 attacks, but they are forced to hit and wound with no rend, damage 1, and the crit auto wound though, which is, once again, another one of those abilities that just appears on so many different Nighthaunt models, it might as well be an army-wide ability. Now, we've got the Drawn to War passive ability, which is pretty cool, and gives our general a ward of 4+ while they're within 1 inch of this unit. If we look at that ward of 4+, we look at Cloak in Shadows, this is going to be a really solid way to keep our general alive. Next are the Grimghast Reapers, and these are probably the heaviest hitters we have in the force, but they only have 1 health each, an 8-inch move, 4+ save, and control score of 1. Their Slasher Sires have 2 attacks, hitting on 4s, wounding on 3s with rend 1, damage 1, and the crit auto wound ability. That rend 1 is nice there, because obviously that means we can get other benefits into the force. We can make our enemy strike last, but we can also get to add 1 to rend if we've picked, say, an enemy unit. That is going to be the one we take out. And if we do that, it might be worth trying to take out one of the enemy's larger units, because Reap Like Corn, their ability, allows the combat attacks made by the unit to score critical hits on a modified 5+ instead of 6s if the target unit has 5 or more models. These guys, if they've got that sort of picked target unit from our regiment abilities, can really deal some damage to them. And lastly, we have our Chainrasps. Now, we have this model having 1 health each, a 8-inch move, 5+ save, and control score of 1, but they do have a ward 6+, and the reinforcements keyword here, which is really cool, meaning the unit can actually be brought back when it's slain for a command point. This is a big reason I don't really care for the Beacon of Nagashizar. We've got 2 units of 10 that can actually be brought back for command points. I don't think it's necessary to bring back 1 model. Now, we do have their malignant weapons, which are 2 attacks each, hitting on 4s, wounding on 5s, no rend, damage 1, and the crit auto wound ability. Now, no rend there is obviously a issue, but the fact that they're going to put out 20 attacks, which is pretty decent amount of attacks in Spearhead, is going to get crit auto wound, they're going to get a few through. They also add 1 to their wound rolls thanks to the Chilling Horde ability when they charge as well, which is passive and always just works whenever they charge. This is pretty cool. It allows them to get in, deal an extra little bit of damage. Also, they can get some rend via our battle trait if we have gone for the right one of our regiment abilities. I think these are a solid unit all round. They're going to provide lots of bodies, and with Nighthaunt is something we don't lack is bodies, so more and more bodies is stacking up and really helping us with that objective control. We hope this video was helpful in getting you started with Warhammer Age of Sigmar Spearhead, and that it was able to give you some ideas and inspiration to start your own force in the game. If you have any other questions at all, please comment them down below. And while you're there, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, and join our Discord server to check out all of our future Warhammer Age of Sigmar content.